Hi there, Assassins, and welcome to episode 17 of Rally the Creed Live. We are a weekly Assassin's Creed community podcast focusing on content creators within the community, news coverage, and everything related to the franchise. A massive thank you to everyone who has supported the show, and we really appreciate it. For today's episode, I am joined by the esteemed Cole, my co-host of the Rally of the Creed, and welcome back from your holiday.
Thank you very much. Great to be back, guys. And James, always love doing the show. And yeah, I've had a long break, and yeah, nice to be back. But 9 days, and I literally was off the grid, so you might have to fill me in on a few Assassin's Creed things if I've missed anything. There was no signal up in the Scottish Highlands, so I'm looking forward to getting into everything that I've missed.
We can get into it. That's fine. First, before we go any further, I need to know about your holiday. Let me know how it was. The pictures that you were posting were fantastic. The picture of the deer in the grass was my particular favourite.
Thank you very much. You know, a few people have said that. I never see myself as like a photographer, but I've had loads of messages from people saying, "Oh, you should make a calendar." I think it's mainly family and friends who are like with it. I think they're just trying to big me up. But yeah, it was lovely. You know, we were up over Corran Ferry, it's called, which is like up near Glencoe. So you go over the ferry, and then you sort of go like left towards Loch Sunart. And it's literally like the middle of nowhere. You go from like a branch in the road of like a left and a right, and we went left, and it was on this huge estate. And like when I say estate, I'm talking like a hunting estate. So there's like a family that own just acres and acres of land off the grade. You go through a gate and you just travel for miles and miles, and it's just like huts and houses, and there's like one house every like 3 miles or so. So there's not many people up there, and we just kept on traveling to this huge like glass house. It was incredible. It was a huge place as well. And then every day we'd go for a walk in the local area by the loch, and it was just like deer everywhere, stags running around, and they have pine martens as well, which are like little weaselly things. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's just so dark as well, and you are just like there.
I am listening, but
everywhere.
I have a ladybug that somehow managed to get into my house.
We're one with nature.
So I am listening.
Well, yeah, it was super.
He says as if it's in a drink.
A few drinks every night, and a nice fire, and then we were there for bonfire night as well. So we had a few of the low noise fireworks going on as well. Yeah, it was really fun, you know, and managed to just have a bit of peace and do a jigsaw, 1,000 pieces, and just having like a nice relaxing week. I had Wi-Fi, but I didn't have any like phone signal. So and I was trying to like cut my screen time because I'm guilty of always being on my phone. But yeah, it was super relaxing, feeling recharged. But back at work now, I'm back to reality as well. But yeah, looking forward to talking all things Assassin's Creed tonight, and there's a lot we're going to get into tonight.
We have a long list of stuff to talk about. I wanted to ask how your because you were recently on the Podyssey. How was that for you? What was that like?
Yeah, it was so fun. And this was the cool thing. I recorded 2 episodes of podcasts. So it was the Podyssey, and then we also did the episode 15 of Rally the Creed. So literally when I was on holiday, like 5 hours worth of content involving me dropped on the Sunday. Wow. So like people were like in the chat for Willis Makes Movies, and one lad replied saying they're going to get 5 hours worth of Cole content today and watch them back to back. But yeah, you know, the Podyssey was great because the 2 lads, like I've been listening to the show for about 3 or 4 months now. So the Exile and Willis Makes Movies, really great show. I love the content, and to go on, it was really interesting because I felt like I knew them already. So Willis Lewis had already like had on our show here, rather than Creed, but yeah, I already felt like I knew them purely because of like I've listened to so many episodes, so I felt really comfortable, and yeah, I was really like giving it my best and like telling them loads of stories. So I think that's what came through as well. It's like really like story time with Cole. So I think people liked it. I didn't realize I had so many like Assassin's Creed stories, but they just started coming to me, and yeah, good fun, and the lads were loving it, and yeah, it's done really well on YouTube, which is cool to see, and yeah, hopefully do a few more collabs in the future. It's good fun.
It was great to listen to. I'd listened to it earlier on in the week. I actually listened to it today at work. And it was really good to see how. My question is, obviously we do this live, so we have no room for error really. How was it recording the Podyssey? Because obviously they record in advance, right, and then they edit it and stuff. So how was that?
Yeah, it's really cool. They record on a Tuesday and then release on a Sunday, I believe it is, and it's once every 2 weeks. But just having the call, it just feels like really laid back and there's no pressure. Like I know here on Rally the Creed, like sometimes it takes me one or two goes on the intro and that's fine, you know, even like actors have to do a couple takes, right? Yeah. So that's just how it goes. But like with that, it's like once we're rolling, we're going, and like they leave like all the bits in, you know, like a toilet break and stuff. And
I did see the toilet break. I saw the
dead air and stuff in, like they're really like, yeah, once we're rolling, that's it. But yeah, it's nice and chill, laid back. They made me feel at ease, and yeah, it was really good fun. And like I say, they're both top lads, so it was great to chat with them and lots to talk about with them as well. We're really diving into Assassin's Creed and really like with the live format, like I think it does add that a little bit of pressure. But I was saying to you before the show, James, it also adds the ability to speak to your guests on a more personal level.
Yeah.
You can have the one-on-one chats, you can get the comments answered. People can, if you forget anything, your mind goes blank, someone can comment with the the information, so it does help you out in a sense, but there is that like added pressure as well. But I guess that's our USP. It's what sets us apart. But yeah, with the call, it was just so chill and natural, and it went on a really long time actually. I say a long time. Your episode with BPRGaming was 3 hours the other day, so I think we're breaking records for length on these episodes.
I think your Podyssey episode was about 2.5 hours. I think.
Broken that.
Yeah, me and Billy, we were at 3 hours, and I'm pretty sure that I could have. I'm pretty sure I could have cut it. I had to cut it, but we could have kept going for ages. Had I not had work the next day, I probably would have carried on for a little bit. But it was 3 hours. It was a good chat as well because he joined. We had a little get to know, get like a little chat, similar to how I had a chat with Rick. Like we had like 5 minutes, and then we were both like, "Should we get started now?" And it's like, "Okay, cool." And then we started a bit earlier, but it was such a great person to talk to. I've been doing Assassin's Creed content for about a year, so not nowhere near as long as any of you guys, but to get to chat to yourself, to Billy, to Rick, to all these guys that are and ladies, because we talked to Laurie as well, but talk to all these people that have had such a profound feeling with Assassin's Creed has been great fun. So I could happily talk about it forever. But I also saw that you guys were talking about possibly going on the Podyssey again. And I think we should have a 4-way, just the four of us, just talking and chatting amongst ourselves.
Definitely, that'd be really cool, especially in the run up to Christmas, or even like a Christmas episode. And yeah, that'd be really good. I'd definitely be down for that. And I know the lads are open to more collabs in the future. I'm sure I'm going to get the Exile on, but got to probably do a different format for that one due to work schedules.
Yeah.
But we'll make it happen. And yeah, we're on episode 17 now, so we're flying through, and we're going to get some special episodes recorded in the run up to Christmas. So probably by 2026, me and you probably getting to near 30 episodes, I imagine, by the time.
I don't know.
I think some specials put in there as well. And
so I think by Christmas, I think on our calendar, I'd marked out every episode. I think we get to episode 22, I think, and I propose a Christmas break.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or even record them in advance.
Yeah. and I think the first episode in January will be episode 23.
Oh, okay. So it just depends on how many specials we can record in that time. And I know Gustav, who's another member of our team, has been adding some ideas to the document today as well. So we'll see where it takes us, because as you know, in March, maybe even February, I'll be stepping away. And then, yeah,
that was
all in your hands.
That's not on here, but that was going to be one of my questions. How is everything going? How is the pregnancy going?
Yeah, really good, to be fair. We've passed 20 weeks now. I think we're on 22 weeks to be precise, and she's getting big. Good movements from baby, and yeah, it's all becoming very real now. Second trimester will soon become third trimester, and then it's like the end is in sight, and yeah, it's all happening. Exciting
have we picked out any assassin names that we can?
No assassin names, but we are in discussion about interesting and unusual names. So a couple of names floating around, but nothing to confirm at this time.
I quite like the name Evie. That would be
Evie's cute.
Yeah, see. I wanted to also ask about your Flaws of Awaji script. How is that going?
Yeah, you know what? Really good. On holiday, I had a bit of time to read over the script, add a bit more to it, and I'd like to say it's completed now. Maybe the update that's been released will change my mind. I'll want to add a bit more to it. And maybe I'll watch the cutscene movie again and just add a few final bits. But I'm pretty happy with it, the length and everything. And I feel like I've been dragging it out ages, where most people can write a script and release a video within the space of a week, where I've not done this in a long time. So I wanted the script to be solid. I want the footage to be like appropriate to what I'm discussing as well. I want it to be like a decent enough video rather than just like thrown together. And also I've got my driving test coming up, so big priority, but I do want to get it out by December realistically, because then we'll move into the Christmas content. But yeah, I had a lot to say in that, and I know you've looked over the script, and so has Zephyrus and Framework Photography from our team, and they've added a few bits as well. But yeah, there's lots of things, and the thing is, I want to make it clear, I don't dislike the DLC. I actually think it has some interesting mechanics and things. I just think it could have developed the story and the narrative further. So yeah, I'll go over it in full when the video eventually comes out, but lots to discuss in that one.
I actually agree with you to an extent. From what I've read of your script, I do actually agree with some of the points. I don't understand why you hate Janjiro so much. I thought he was brilliant. I think he's a great character. What did you actually call him the other day as well?
Did I call him the kid from Up?
Oh yeah, there you go. The kid from Up.
I just can't wait to see it now. I think the memes were ruthless in the run up to the game's launch, and that's all I see. But
after reading that, that's all I can see when I look at him now.
Yeah.
He just needs that jacket on with the badges on, and he'd be great. He'd be perfect. Yeah.
And the cap.
Yeah, because he's like
But to answer your question, I guess the main thing is the potential of what he could have been. So I wanted everyone coming to the hideout to have like a bit of a development in character, and to provide necessary like training to people in the area, to have like a reason for being there, where he's just like an annoying little brother. And to me, that's not an ideal function for him. Like, I would have actually liked a time jump where he's like a fully trained assassin with like samurai tendencies, you know, like combat style of a samurai, but he's got like ninja style parkour. I thought, you know what, yeah, that's worthwhile. He's had an impact on the story here, but really, I just find him really annoying, and he's like shoehorned into all the storylines. Like, Claws of Awaji didn't even need him. He's just a fanboy of the bow staff master. I just find it so frustrating, and it's just not necessary in my opinion. So I guess that's my main thing. It just feels contrived. It's like they're like, right, how can we bring him back? And in my opinion, the voice acting is really poor for him as well, in comparison to many others.
His voice acting is really weird. It's like I feel like everyone else has a very distinct. It obviously it's a game set in Japan, but it feels like a Japanese voice actors, whereas
Right.
his feels like it's like an American Japanese, and it does.
100%.
I do understand it doesn't quite fit into it.
It's just jarring. Like
Yeah.
every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, it's broken my immersion.
I also wanted. So you said that taking so long to do a script. I'm still writing the script for What If. You know, Marvel do their What If section. What If, and I was doing it's about Hatham, but it's taking me so, and I love Hatham, but it's taking me so long. I want it to be like right. And when you're, like you said, when you're doing it, you're writing it and you're like, oh, actually that needs to change, or this needs to change. I envy people that can write a script so quick.
Yeah, no disrespect to people, but I know a lot of people use like Chat GPT to throw a script together, and then they'll just like edit bits in as well. But I'm fully non-AI,
Yeah,
just human brain power.
If we relied on human brain power, it would take me forever to write anything.
Yeah, I just don't use it. I know these tools are out there now to help people.
There are tools out there. I don't think I've used it once, but not to write a script. I probably used it when I was trying to sort the computer out.
Right. I use it for maths, and that's about it. You know, when you're trying to sort like payday,
yeah,
and it's like, what are all these numbers? I mean, I could do it on a calculator, but then you have to remove all the words before it. You know, like bills, for example. Yeah. Car, like all these things.
Yeah,
if you just throw it into Chat GPT, it'll just like remove all the words and add the numbers.
Yeah,
it's like super lazy.
Perfect.
But why not? Everyone's using it.
I also have an update for you. For the Black Death pitch that we spoke about on the Halloween.
Fab.
I couldn't get it out of my head. We talked about it and I couldn't get rid of it. So I felt like I had to write it down. And I'm so close. I'm just about to do the conclusion.
Fantastic.
I've also got some artwork that's been sent over to me by one of our artists.
Oh, brilliant.
So by tomorrow or Tuesday, the conclusion will be done, and I can send that over to you, because it'll be a good one. I feel like I love my Scotland pitch. I actually think this one's better than Scotland.
Do you?
Yeah.
And that was really good because that had like original characters,
Yeah.
pieces of Eden. That was a really great arc. Well, part 2 as well.
Yeah.
A 2-parter.
Well, this one I've kind of done the same. New characters, different story. I will give people a brief description. So we've had Shay, who was an assassin turned Templar. I wanted to turn that around slightly, and we've got a Templar that's turned assassin, which I thought was a great flip, because we haven't seen this before. So I thought that would be a good idea. So that's what we're doing. That's how close. We're so close to finishing that.
I'm looking forward to reading that. And that was a great episode, the Halloween episode. So it's cool to hear that it's stuck in your head, and you know, some of the ideas we were discussing has found its way onto the paper. And what I'll do is I'll add some clips from that episode as well to follow it up at the bottom. You know, some like TikTok clips or something.
Because I also, obviously, we'll discuss it more later, but the topic of for pitching later on, I can't get that out of my head either.
Oh, really good. And that's really topical as well for the time of year it is.
I think so. When we did the Halloween episode, we talked about obviously we've got the OG era, we've got the RPG era, and then we've got the dark era, which is we've got Hexe on its way over. then there was this Black Death, and then the topic later.
Yeah,
I think that would be a great like a mini era going on.
that'd be really good. And yeah, especially with Hexe, there's a lot to discuss on that later on as well, because there's been developments in the last week, especially with the movement of GTA 6's
that's
release date. So we'll discuss all this later on in the episode. But yeah, I'm excited for Hexe, and hopefully it is like a darker tone for Assassin's Creed. And obviously with the pitches we're going into, that would also be very dark for the series.
Yeah, I think I actually with Awaji, I think they did really well at the dark tones. I think it's one of the better things of Awaji. So I think they can do it, and they should lean into it a little bit and they can really rely on it. I think it would do quite well.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that I'm going to be discussing in my video. It's definitely got a supernatural feeling to the island on Awaji.
Yeah, especially with the because I thought I was seeing things. You know when the leaves blow?
Yes.
And they were like shaped up as people. And then it would like a split second a person, and then it would blow away.
Then you hear whispers.
Yeah, like laughing and stuff. I think that was really good. But again, I hope for all the good things, there are plenty of bad things to go with it as well. So
definitely. So what are our main topics tonight then, James? So, lots to get into in terms of like the news and stuff.
So our main topics are from the Paris Games Week. We've got the Mirage DLC to talk about, which I'm absolutely looking forward to. We've got the Shadows update, which includes the Corrupt Castles and the Parkour update. How everyone feels about the gold farming. We're going to talk about Hexe being a smaller game. And we're going to talk about the GTA delay, which inevitably has affected Hexe. I would say for the better, potentially, but who knows? And then we're going to talk about something that I thought about earlier on in the week, would be a character creation model in an Assassin's Creed game. And we're going to talk about a Mount Rushmore of Assassin's Creed protagonists. And I've got a lot of research on this. People have shouted names at me for the last 3-4 days. So I have compiled a list, and you are going to get the definitive answer on who the fans want as a Mount Rushmore of Assassin's Creed. And that's it.
You guys, lots to get into tonight.
A lot to get into. So where do you want to start? What do you want to start with?
I think for me, the Paris Games comments, because I found this really strange. And I mean, I was just on holiday, having a nice time, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing quotes from Yves Guillemot saying that, I'll read the article actually. I think the main line that's been going around social media is, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. And this is obviously in regards to the backlash when it comes to Yasuke. If you guys remember in the reveal of Assassin's Creed Shadows and the announcement that there was going to be a playable Black Samurai, there was huge backlash at the time, and a lot of people wanted the game cancelled. And when I say a lot of people, I'm not talking about Assassin's Creed fans, I'm talking about like the grifters, the people who are like anti-woke, and this sort of the brigade that comes out whenever a diverse project comes out, and they really slammed it, didn't they, straight away? And they were unhappy that you couldn't play as an Asian male in the game. And I remember it was a huge thing, and it was really like tanking the pre-orders, so they didn't even open them up for a long time. And just overall, there was, everywhere you looked online about Assassin's Creed Shadows, it was just so negative, and it was really hard for them to like get rid of that in the marketing campaign. So, and I remember Yves Guillemot had some comments last year about the game that weren't met very well. So these recent quotes, I'll just go through the article now. And this is another one that was interesting from it, where he said the quote, we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. We had to start firing up our allies. And this is in reference to the people who actually wanted to play Assassin's Creed for an Assassin's Creed story. We had to get these people energized and get them interested in the game. And when it says about hated us, the thing is with this is that when a project comes out, whether it be Star Wars, Assassin's Creed, anything like that, these people who I mentioned before, they just attack and then they move on to the next project. So when the game obviously launched and they just sort of like kept attacking and then moved on to the next thing, there's always something for them to, target next. And yeah, I just found the comments at Games Week quite interesting because it was produced or like made with or ran alongside a promotional video for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and the article is written by Stephen Totillo, who's a well-known journalist and for GameFile now, but he's worked for several media outlets over the years. And it's quite interesting because it just sort of goes into a bit more depth of what Ubisoft's perspective is now on the backlash and why it was pivotal for delaying the game. And yeah, I definitely recommend everyone reading that when they get a chance. And I'm just going to have a quick look through, James, but what's your perspective on this and Ubisoft's position when it comes to the backlash?
I think it's a weird position considering that they supposedly cancelled a game earlier on in the like we got news that they cancelled a game where you would fight as a former slave and they cancelled it because of backlash. So right. It seems like a weird position to now say that they're not focusing on the people that hate them. If you're not going to focus on the people that hate you, then you could just release the game. It's not.
That's a very good point. 100%. It doesn't really go with their actions, does it?
No,
like
not really.
Game
no,
would have been an assassin after the Civil War and fighting the KKK, and that, like you say, that game was supposedly cancelled due to the backlash. But then at the same time, during this video that was released to a wide audience, they're saying we were surprised by the extent of the attacks, and we quickly realized it was a battle with our fans to demonstrate that we were in fact more of a video game than a message. So yeah, all these quotes and like their stance on it now, it doesn't really like hold up when you think about they are cancelling projects behind the scenes that would also face backlash.
Yes, it seems like a weird position to even be in. The thing is, when it comes to I call it fake outrage that Shadows brought in. Those people were never going to buy the game anyway.
Right.
It's the same people that complain about Yote and all these other things. They were never going to buy it. They were never going to play it. They just wanted to complain about it. And as something I've spoken about quite a few times, and I mentioned it with Billy last week, is that we have actually played as a historical figure before, but nobody complained. Which begs the question, why are we complaining now? But also, I think Ubisoft have just got to, I've said it before, just stop listening to the outside world and just make what you want to make. Do what you want to do. Don't worry about who's going to buy it and who's not going to buy it, because the ones that aren't going to buy it were never going to buy it in the first place.
Yeah.
AC fans will buy any game because we play it because we love it. So I will sit here and complain about Batfag, but I will play it. It's part of the franchise that I love. So I have it. I've brought it. I'm going to buy the game whether it's whoever it's got in it, should I say.
Yeah,
so I think we just forget.
Really good comment here as well, James, that I've just seen from Noah. He says they cancelled it because of the current political climate in America, less about the Yasuke backlash.
I don't think...
I'd say it goes hand in hand, to be honest.
Yeah, because most of the videos I saw anyway were of I don't want to say Americans because it's not everybody, but they were majority American. They were complaining about Yasuke not being there at the time. And I mentioned it to Billy last week, is that they realized that the position they took, that Yasuke wasn't real, that he wasn't really there. And then because that wasn't working, they then changed it to, oh, this blossom tree doesn't grow at this time, or watermelons don't grow at this time. Come on, guys. We're talking about a race of higher beings that created humans as slaves. I don't think they really care about blossom trees and watermelons, really.
But this is like the same people that complain about Doctor Who being female or black, right? But it's like you're literally watching a show about like aliens and like time travel and stuff.
Yeah.
You can get on board with that. Do you know what I mean? They do come out the woodwork when these projects are announced, and they really go hard. And you know, the more backlash that they can generate, the more clicks they get on their videos.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
I've said it before, and I hate to say his name, but Asmongold, he was the one that I kept seeing all the time.
Oh, and yeah.
I've said before, hate and negativity sells, especially in this particular day and age. Disliking something is what gets people. It's what gets people the views. So some people, they just hate just for the sake of hating.
And we've had a lot of that when it comes to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I sort of felt that these comments made at this event was a bit like damage control, to be honest. It's sort of like we are accepting that there has been backlash, and now we're no longer focusing on that. We're now focusing on the fans. And I guess with the recent patches, which I would say are very community led, you know, with the parkour update and the Ezio legacy rubs, this is really putting the community first and thinking about the community. Maybe they are like no longer looking at the wider scope of the backlash, and they're trying to put the community at the center of the game, which they should have done from the start, really.
Yeah, I agree. I would hate to be anybody at Ubisoft right now working on any game, because difficult. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And it's really difficult. If let's say they had removed Yasuke from the game and they had given us a Japanese samurai, people would be calling them weak for not just keeping him in. So they've kept him in, and now people are moaning at them for keeping him in. If they took him away as a main character and just had Narway, they'd be like, well, now we're playing as this girl boss that can take on everyone. There's always going to be something that these people complain about. I do think that Ubisoft should not listen to the haters. They should listen to the people that like them, like to the fans that are going to play the games. Listen to those guys. Don't listen to the negativity, because that's just going to make you hate yourself.
That's it. And yeah, like I say, I imagine it's just a bit of damage control and PR work. You know, Yves Guillemot's not always seen as like the best representative of this company, to be honest. You know, he's a millionaire, and his son Charlie's now in charge of a lot of the Assassin's Creed Vantage studios, overseeing that. So, you know, there was comments there with nepotism as well, putting your son in charge. So yeah, and even like for the last 5-6 years, people have been asking for a change of leadership during all the allegations that came out and the Me Too movement. And was he the best person to oversee the investigations going on internally with Ubisoft? And the family have always been the face of Ubisoft, but they've not always been like the most like personal and friendly and the best people to do it. And I think this is why we like to have the devs revealing games and things now, because they're the best people to talk about the games, rather than like a millionaire who's sat with, you know, all the riches of their hard work. I think people much prefer to see what goes on behind the scenes and the people who are actually working on it day to day. And yeah, this just felt like damage control to me. And reading the comments as well, it's just like boosting Assassin's Creed and just which is great, but then at the same time, it's almost like it's too late now. They led a very insensitive marketing campaign, and they did make mistakes. And my mind goes back to the Tory Gate and the statue, even though that wasn't Ubisoft directly, it was a merchandise company. You know, they still will have finalised the plans with them, and it's just little things like that. And even like thinking back to another one, releasing a trailer on the day of an attack in Japan. There was a subway bombing, I believe, which happened. This was like an anniversary that they released the trailer. Just things that are very insensitive to the people of Japan. And like, in my opinion, they should have done a lot more research, and they did offend people. But then these people we mentioned before, like we know now as grifters or the attackers, they jump on this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just one of them. You can't win, like you said, you can't really win with this. When Ubisoft releasing their next projects, it's probably going to be met with more hate and attacks. And yeah, just an interesting one to kickstart as the changing perspective of how they view Assassin's Creed Shadows now. And I know there are some numbers floating around now that have been leaked saying that Assassin's Creed Shadows hasn't sold as well, but I'm not sure how true they are or if I believe them, because there was a time where I felt like everyone was playing Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah.
So who knows if they're real or not?
Everyone I know has been playing it, but from what I understand, obviously I haven't been doing this as long as you, but from what I understand, Ubisoft doesn't generally release sale numbers. It's not something they really do. From what I understand, they do release player numbers, but they don't generally release sale numbers.
I think you're right, and they like to use like equivalents, like this is the second best Assassin's Creed game, but then they won't go into the actual numbers. But then I guess now with the Tencent takeover, you know, Vantage Studios and things, maybe they're going to be more transparent with numbers going forward.
Maybe. The thing is, when it comes to, obviously they've split, they've moved Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and Rainbow Six over to Vantage Studios. So maybe there'll be a bit more forthcoming with this stuff, but from what I understand, it's not something they generally do. It's like a lot of other companies do it, like we've sold 20 million copies or what have you. I know that another one, for instance, Borderlands, they don't tend to release numbers either. But suddenly they've released numbers of Borderlands 4 and how much that's sold. I'm not entirely sure. I think it has sold really well. I don't know.
Right.
That's just me, I think.
I mean, I imagine it did. So these numbers are quite interesting to me, seeing them floating around and saying that, oh, it's one of the worst selling Assassin's Creed games. Like, I don't understand how that can be true.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, Ubisoft may never give the correct numbers, and they might not do anything to rectify the position people are taking. You know, all the YouTubers and everything are jumping on these numbers and everything. But yeah, there's no real... even like the source of it, there's no like source given. Like it's just like a leak. So who knows? It's interesting that obviously we don't really talk about leaks here on the show, but just for like context, saying that Shadows isn't like selling well, but it was top of the UK leaderboards for sales. Like it doesn't make sense.
I think, but again, that goes back to certain people wanting this game to fail so miserably and so bad that they're set out on, well, it didn't sell very well, not really, and then they'll use Ubisoft Plus as a metric to say, oh well, people are playing it on Ubisoft Plus, so it can't have sold very well. But you have to be connected to Ubisoft to play it, from what I understand, especially on a PC. I don't have to on my Xbox, but so I don't think we'll ever truly know the numbers. I would say it's up, like Noah said. I would say it's around Odyssey Valhalla numbers, I think, but who knows?
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if I believe there's a meeting next month, like a fiscal meeting, where they're going to discuss all the numbers and everything. So it'll sort of project going forward how much Ubisoft are set to make or lose, which I imagine a bit of both, to be honest, after the year they've had. So it'll be interesting to see if they go forward. And what they normally do as well is they normally give us a bit of a timeline for when more releases are coming out. So it could give us more of an indication of if, for example, a Black Flag remake could be coming out early next year. Maybe this will outline, and this is meant to happen in the next few weeks. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and you guys can stay updated on that. The ones that came before, I'm sure we'll be covering that on the day.
Oh yeah, definitely. Noah says that it probably didn't sell as much as Valhalla. That game sold like crazy. I think Valhalla sold like crazy because of lockdown.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
I honestly think if it wasn't for lockdown, it wouldn't have sold that well.
And it was sort of marketed as like a Viking game before Assassin, wasn't it? So I think people were like, oh, Vikings is the big show right now. The Last Kingdom was huge during lockdown. So I wouldn't be surprised if people are like, oh, this goes hand in hand. The music, it was Einar Salnik, who also did the music from Vikings.
Yeah.
So a lot of similarities and links there for people where they can just jump between the two. Let's say you're watching the show, you can also be playing the game as well. So the connections there. I think some of the voice actors, obviously Magnus Brun was in The Last Kingdom as Canute, so they got the links there, and it worked out.
Yeah,
really
I definitely think they built it up to be this big thing, and I genuinely feel I have strong views when it comes to Valhalla. I genuinely think if it wasn't for COVID, it wouldn't have sold very well.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's got a great story at points, and then other bits of it, like the arcs, are just so weak and like not memorable.
I just thought everything about it was pointless. I really think it's one of their worst narratives. The map is huge.
Yeah.
Even though in comparable, it's not. It's like the third biggest map, I think.
It's crazy huge, isn't it? And then they added even more with like the additional content going to like the Isle of Skye and stuff. It just became a huge game. There's a great comment here from Noah. Valhalla was perfect for lockdown, to be honest. Just a huge game to exist in. That's it. I mean, I mentioned it on the Podyssey. I'd literally get up every day, have a beer, and just go see Redder at the Ravensthorpe hideout and just do the Redder quest because I had nothing else going on in my life. Couldn't really leave. I could go around the garden, but it was during like the strictest days of lockdown. There was nothing to look forward to. You didn't know when it would lift. So to have this huge game, it was something to do, wasn't it? And everyone was playing it.
Yeah, I think you did one of two things during lockdown. You either drank beer and played Valhalla, or you drank beer and played Call of Duty.
Right.
And at that particular point, I was drinking beer and playing Call of Duty. Because a couple of my friends that were from Australia and stuff had got caught in lockdown and we were all locked in together. So we just sat playing Call of Duty. But again, that's another one. If it wasn't for lockdown, not many people would have played it. So maybe lockdown did save Valhalla, but that leads me on to the next section of our topics. So Mirage's DLC, which is set to launch on the 18th of November, which is like 9 days away. How are you feeling about Valley of Memory? Are you looking forward to it? Are you a Mirage fan? Is the question.
So I am a Mirage fan, but I think looking back at it, the narrative was a bit contrived and a bit weak as well. I feel like there are stronger ways they could have told that narrative story. And I think Willis Makes Movies did a really great job recently in his video. It was saying about how the CGI trailer did a better job at demonstrating the narrative than the game did. And it's totally worth a watch. It's really clever, and it sort of portrays as how the trailer shows, like, for example, Loki in a different light. There's like the snake at the start. They could have represented this in the game, and even like training at Alamut. Like there's so many like strong bits in this trailer. So I am a big fan of Mirage in general. I like the idea of a smaller Assassin's Creed game that focuses on core pillars. So for this one, it was stealth. I like the mechanics you've got. The stealth tools as well, like throwing knife, the different bombs and stuff. So I actually like Basim as well. I know not everyone does, especially from Valhalla. He's quite a cold character, but I actually enjoyed Basim in Mirage, and I liked Roshan. So there's a lot to like about Mirage, and I am looking forward to the DLC. I just think it's going to be really short. That's my only problem. So we are building it up a bit. Claws of Awaji, no one's even talking about it now. Everyone's focused on Mirage. We've changed our profile picture across all our platforms. It's the focus now for everyone. I am looking forward to it. But I think with Mirage as well, there's only so much they can do because it's sort of like between like a start and finishing point of the game. Like it's set between sequences that we already know what happens. As a time jump, so they can only do so much really. But yeah, I am looking forward to it, and I think it's got some interesting new outfits that they keep showing on Twitter officially, so that's pretty cool. Additional objectives as well, and yeah, I think it's gonna be quite cool, and I'm sort of looking forward to the new enemy types as well. There's like bandits roaming as well. And I think for me, the narrative will be like the main thing that makes it or breaks it. Basim's looking for his father. It'll be interesting to see if he's still alive or not. He might already be dead. We don't know. So I am looking forward to that. And it's also like the last piece of himself, like before he turns into Loki. So he's reclaiming a piece of his identity. It's where did I come from? Who are my parents? And but sort of this like last thing of like his dad went into exile after someone took credit for his work. So it could even be Basim hunting down the people that took credit for his dad's work and lived in poverty for many years. Could be a very powerful story. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited for, but I am a bit cautiously optimistic as well because I feel like it's going to be maybe 15, 20 hours at a push. So we'll see. But the other thing is it comes out on the day of my driving test as well. So I'm not even going to have like a load of time to play it on day one. No. Good chance I'll get it early. So hopefully manage to sneak a few hours in before driving revision takes over.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm like you. I think Basim's a great character. I really liked Mirage. I think it's interesting that people are excited for the DLC because when you speak to people about Mirage, they're kind of like you have two camps. You have the people who like it, people who love it, or the people that absolutely hate it, and they hate it because it's done with the Valhalla engine,
right?
But I'm really looking forward to it, and I always say that Mirage is the game that people asked for, and they still complained about it. So it's interesting to see that people are looking forward to the DLC. I want more time with Basim. If I could have more time with him, that's great. I think he's a great character. I'm looking forward to the story. I don't want it to just be a simple searching for his dad, find his dad. I don't want it to be as easy as that.
Which was like the Claws of Awaji with her mother.
Yeah, you're looking for your
mom.
You found your mom.
Her, but it just was such a letdown for me that I don't really want like a mirroring storyline of what we've just had in the recently released DLC, Claws of Awaji.
It does. Now that you've said it like that, it does feel quite similar. You've got Claws of Awaji, brand new area, looking for your mom. We get an update in Parkour. We get new weapons, and then we've got Mirage, new area, looking for my dad, get new outfits, and in both DLCs. We get ambushes, and the ambushes work in the exact same way. So I'm hoping it's not the same. I'm hoping it's different
I can see the similarities now you said it. And I love that we've now unofficially titled one Looking for Your Mom and the other one Looking for Your Dad.
Yeah.
It's great.
And that's, I understand why Ubisoft are doing it. If they're doing it, there must be some sort of deal out there, because to be putting all this work into for something to be released free is weird. But like Noah said, he's excited because it's free. I think if people had to pay for it, then we'd have a problem.
Yeah, especially because it comes from the Saudi financial and like backing. Then you're sort of left with the feeling, am I backing Saudi? And all the undertones that comes with that, obviously the way they treat women in their society and everything. There's all these things that come alongside that as well. And obviously, I'm thinking of like Qatar and the World Cup. There's literally no health and safety standards over there. So people were dying creating the stadiums. And I just think of it as like, it's not something you'd want to support on like a financial level, but I think Ubisoft probably needed this sort of collaboration to stay afloat, and probably they're open to other collaborations like this in the future, because I'm thinking millions is what the tourism department pumped into this.
I think it has to be. I also think that it seems like Saudi's trying to change their image slightly, because I'm pretty sure isn't there a Saudi group that's just brought EA as well, I think. So I think they're trying to change that image slightly.
And it's the same
next video is Ubisoft Saudi.
Yeah. That's a good point though. Who knows? Maybe. Yeah, it's one of them though, isn't it, where you feel like these things could open doors for Ubisoft in terms of like financial backing and stuff, but then at the same time it could limit them. And I know the guys on the Podyssey mentioned this as well. When Saudi-backed projects come about, they often give the writers like a list of things you can and can't discuss. So, for example, like gay relationships, there's almost certainly going to be nothing like that in this storyline. And like, that's just an example of like the sort of things they wouldn't be able to cover. And I imagine that are like a degree of things they wouldn't be able to cover in this project. And that's just an example.
Yeah, I feel like creative restrictions would probably be in place. It's a weird one. I spoke about it with Billy last week, though. It seems like a weird situation. A country's gone, oh yeah, we need to boost tourism. Let's take this game and let's give it. Can you promote this area? Just seems really weird. It might have been cheaper to just make an advert or something. Right.
It's
I'm not mad about it.
I've seen before.
I'm not mad about it. I just think it's a weird position for Ubisoft, I think.
It could be the future of how Ubisoft operate.
Yeah.
So we'll see if other countries are keen to finance more projects, and it might keep Ubisoft afloat now that they're open to more collaborative efforts.
Potentially, yeah. It could. Maybe we'll see. Might see a main Chinese game setting, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe with the Tencent link. Yeah. Who knows? It would open it up to foreign markets, and I imagine it would sell very well as long as it followed again the strict writing protocols and restrictions and the boundaries and guidelines that it would come with.
I think there'd be so many things that they could and couldn't talk about.
Yeah, that's the only worry, isn't it, when it affects narrative? But they've not really talked about the narrative in this. So even in like the teaser they've released, the little trailer, the gameplay, all the articles are completely avoiding it. It's almost like they just want you to focus on like the journey and the landscape more than anything.
I feel like even from people in the ones who came before, I'm not seeing anything about story or a narrative in any way, shape, or form. I'm literally just seeing outfits, mechanics, parkour, and the setting. That is literally it.
I wonder why that is, and if it is because narrative has been on the weaker end of the scale recently.
Yeah, maybe. It could be that they've decided that narrative's where they get slammed the most.
Right.
Because let's be honest, their world building is pretty. It's something I spoke about before. Their world building is like second to none. So I imagine that they'll lead heavily into that, and the narrative is always their weakest point. So, not that that's always been the case, but definitely in recent years, the narrative has always been slightly weaker. So potentially that would be the case. But that also brings me on to the Shadows update. Obviously, you've been away, so you haven't had a chance to get a hold of it yet. But I have played some of it. I haven't been playing much, but I've done a little bit.
There's a lot to get into with the update because it's a lot of little things, but they also make it quite a big update, like sizable. I think it was like 9 GB on PC.
Yeah, it was like 30. I think it was like 30 something on Xbox.
Really?
I need to know why whenever anything gets updated on Xbox, always seems to be the bigger of the updates, which means I have to wait longer to do anything than everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like there was some parkour updates. There was these new activities, which are corrupt castles. There was loads of little things. There's new missions coming. A new mission, which is something to do with a puzzle door.
Yeah, the issue stuff. That looks interesting.
Which I'm looking forward to. But I mainly wanted to talk about the parkour and the corrupt castles, because the parkour update, you now get to do the manual jump.
Manual jump's a good one.
Which is a good one. You get to do the catch ledge stuff. You can jump from any height now, which in the grand scheme of things all sounds great. Like you're able to side eject, back eject. All sounds great, but I don't think Japan is really built for. I don't understand. It's not built for this kind of parkour.
Right.
Like even the places that you can do it is castles and villages, but villages they don't have anything high enough, and in castles there's nothing close enough that you'll be able to jump. So it seems like a really weird thing to add in. I think maybe they've added it in because people were complaining about the parkour, but I have a feeling that I just feel that Japan's not really built for this type of parkour. It's not dense like Unity, and it's not like, I would even say that America had a better feeling for this kind of parkour.
Yeah, and even like Valhalla, I know we were criticizing it before, but it was like built for parkour. Even though the parkour itself wasn't great, the actual opportunities to do so were really good. Like I'm thinking like they had like scaffolding everywhere, and you could really get above your target and air assassinate. That was really great. But yeah, in terms of like Japan not being built for parkour, I totally agree. The grappling hook's so easy to use, isn't it? I mean, it's basically the rope launcher at this point. It's so quick. You know, when you've mastery tree like leveled it up and everything, it's so quick. You're rapid. You can do it like backwards as well. You can throw yourself off the building and like grapple yourself up. It's so quick. You're zipping around everywhere on that thing. So even so, like the manual jump, the static jump, that's the other thing, isn't it? The static jump.
Yeah,
it's where you like weird. Jump onto the object that is right in front of you rather than like going around it and jumping. That's quite useful, but there are only so many times where you're actually going to use it, like you say, because of how parkour's built, and you can only go so high, really.
Yeah, and what's even worse is these parkour updates have done nothing to Yasuke at all.
Right.
He's still the same slow, bumbling pain in the ass that he is. I do actually have a complaint about Yasuke since the update, is that when you do you unlock a certain skill point, I think, in the masteries when you're playing as him, and you can run through stuff, and you can smash through loads of bits. If you're sprinting and trying to run around stuff, he does this like bull in a china shop, and he smashes into walls, and it was really... He is... I love Yasuke, but he is an absolute pain in the ass to move around.
That run is quite obnoxious as well.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's used for charging and knocking down enemies, but you
can't see it.
You can't see. It's like the camera is like locked in like a charging motion.
It's so annoying, and I only really noticed it since the update as well. It happened a few times beforehand, but it's so annoying. So they've done parkour updates,
right? But this is the thing with the Yasuke thing. I'm only thinking about using it twice, and once really that charge was used to knock down Tomeji in the claws of Awaji, the big Templar brute. And then the other time I was using it was literally during the tutorial mission at the start, where you're charging down the gates.
Yeah.
Breaking the barriers.
Yeah, so that's literally all it's used for is, those, when you go to castles and they've got doors that are blocked and they're barred from the other side.
Yeah.
When Nawe can't break through them, but Yasuke can. It just seems really... the one that needed a parkour update didn't get it.
It's very true.
And I've seen clips of eventually Yasuke is going to be able to learn from Nawe, and he can do a stealth assassination. I don't know if you've seen.
I have seen this, yeah.
And that she can do this
war cry.
This boot kick thing that he does.
Right.
Which is great. I love the fact that they're learning from each other. But if he's spending this much time with her and he's learned how to silently assassinate, surely he can learn how to jump.
Yeah.
It just seems really...
It's a fair point.
It seems really weird. And I don't know if you've seen, but corrupt castles, they were built as this new activity that once you defeated so many castles in the game, you could now unlock corruptible castles, which had corrupt daimyo in it. And then once you've killed them, you would unlock a chest that would have gold in it. It would have gear in it. And it sounds great, but I imagine the corruptible castle to be a corrupt castle.
Right.
But it's not. It's normal characters in the castle, apart from however daimyo is supposed to be in the castle. So if it's 2, there's 2 corrupt daimyo. So you kill those 2, you unlock the chest. The gear is gear that you've already unlocked, and you get gold, and that's it. And the only thing I can see people doing it for is gold farming, which is something else that was on our list, and to complete an anomaly, and that's it. It adds nothing to the game at all. It makes no real sense or point. There's no explanation why they're corrupt either. It's just a weird
animus glitch thing.
It doesn't it never. If that's the case, it never mentions it from what I'm aware. It just
from a lore perspective.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you that the castles are corrupt. It doesn't even go, oh, there's a couple of corrupt castles around the area.
They just add them to your map.
Yeah, they just show up on the map. That's literally it. It's this update. I love Shadows, but this update has been it's a really weird one.
Yeah, it's weird for me because obviously I was away for the 9 days, but I did watch the video by Joe Raptor when it first came out, and the other one by Andy Reloads, and they're both saying the exact same thing. You grind your way through these castles, you take down the daimyo, and then the loot you get isn't even like exclusive to the castles. Like you can get it anywhere. It could appear in the what do they call it now? Basically, Redder's shop, the exchange. You could get it there. You could just find it randomly in the game, so it's nothing really special what you're getting when it could have been like interesting loot, make it worthwhile. It does just feel like more attempt to keep you playing and putting hours into the game and grind and like level grinding.
Yeah, because now you've got, when it comes to the anomalies, I think one or two of the anomalies is in Awaji, which forces you to go to Awaji.
Yeah.
And now one of them is the corrupt castles. So two of those anomalies, most people won't be able to play. They won't be able to do them. So they're limited to 3 anomalies now. And unless you are playing the game to pass the time, or you haven't completed it yet, or whatever, you're not going to have destroyed that many castles yet. So it just seems like a real waste of time.
Yeah, I agree, James.
Personally,
I think they should be putting their efforts into things that the community actually want. Like, for example, the legacy robes. Yes, they've added Ezio's, but you have to grind for that. But I mean, where's Altair? Where's Edward? You know, all these other characters. I mean, Xiaojun. Like, we'd love all these robes, especially for Nawe, Xiaojun. Someone said Adewale would look really good on Yasuke. You know, we could spend all day talking about potential legacy outfits.
Yeah,
but they're not talking about it right now. So who knows how long we'll have to wait before things like that are added.
Yeah, I get it, I understand, but it just seems pointless at this point. You've given us a parkour update that doesn't necessarily need. I think Shadow's parkour as it was pretty good already. Considering Mirage's wasn't that great, Valhalla's is awful, Odyssey's I didn't think was great either. So considering we had 3 back-to-back games that weren't that great, I think it was actually a step in the right direction. So to then give us an update that didn't really change much.
Yeah, I think it would definitely appease the parkour community, which there is like a small pocket of the Assassin's Creed community. So I'm thinking like Ropotopoulos, Leo K. These guys are like parkour experts, and I know they've been having like behind the scenes conversations with Ubisoft for quite a while now, in like sit down conversations over like platforms like Zoom and things, like talking with like the technical director and all the people involved in like the parkour and the animations. So I imagine they've been pushing for this behind the scenes, but like you say, the parkour was already pretty decent. You just don't have that much opportunity to use it, really. Yeah, things like the catch, like what do they call it, ledge catch?
The ledge catch, or grab or whatever it is.
Useful, but why was it removed in the first place? Like, why has Assassin's Creed removed things that we're talking about, like learning this move originally in Assassin's Creed 2, I think it was?
I think so, yeah.
Rosa, one of the thieves. So we're talking about a game that came out 2009, I want to say. So it's like we had it back then. Why was it ever removed? And like, a lot of people were thinking that the parkour update as well, not this one because this is parkour update 2, parkour update 1 may have been already like ready, but they didn't add it to the game because they wanted it to look like they had things to launch post-launch.
Well, maybe potentially.
Way of looking at it.
So that's a good way to look at it, actually.
It looks like they're doing more.
But I can't see why they wouldn't have kept such a feature, because I'm trying to think if Catch Ledge was in any of the other games, because I don't remember being able to do it with Connor, maybe, unless I'm...
Can't remember. Noah says Catch Ledge was in AC1, removed in Syndicate, I think. Yeah, was again, it? Quebec at its finest.
What? I'm trying to think if it was in AC1.
I can't remember.
I just remembered it the parkour not being the best in AC1, but
Maybe a remake.
if they make a remake, I think they need definitely out of all the games that needs the most doing to it.
Yeah.
Because all the others, I think, would work pretty well in 2025. I'm not too sure that. I'm not too sure if AC1 holds up very well in 2021.
But yeah, like I said, with the YouTubers covering the parkour and the castles and stuff, they're all of the same conclusion as well. Like Ubisoft should put their energy into post-launch content that's meaningful for the players, give us a storyline. And I mean, with that Isu quest line that we mentioned before with the door, apparently it's inspired by like the comical turn of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They're bringing back 2 characters that were in I think it was the Norway quest line.
I think it was the yokai quest line, the melon heads.
Okay.
I think.
Right, the melon heads.
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, it's 2 that have already been in it, and they're trying to go for like a funny thing. I love that they're adding Isu content. Obviously, here at the ones that came before, huge fans of the Isu, the first civilization, any precursor content we're all about. I know Access the Animus have done a really interesting video looking at the door, examining the wording on it, because those guys have broken the translation and they can like decipher things already, so that's really cool and definitely recommend checking that out. But in terms of like length, I'm imagining maybe 5-10 minute quest line. I'm thinking this is going to be super short. Be interesting to see how long this actually is when it launches.
It would be interesting because we haven't really heard about a time really. Ubisoft let us know, they tell us how long these things are going to be. They told us how long claws would roughly take you. They have told us how long Valley of Memory is going to take. So they're very open about time-wise, but they haven't really mentioned how long this is going to be, which is slightly concerning and not in a good way.
Yeah,
so potentially,
obviously with the issue links and stuff, I'll definitely give it a go, and we'll share our thoughts here on the podcast. I'll take notes, but yeah, I feel like if they had a meaningful issue storyline to tell, should have done it in the main game.
Yeah, it should have been in the main game already, and I don't know if you had this. But Noah just said, do you remember the pre-order quest, which got you a dog for your hideout? That was like literally like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I played it recently, It was just like, it was on my map, and I was like, I best clear up the map a bit because it was just scattered with objectives. Yeah. So yeah, I did that one, and the dog runs off, and then you chase it, and it's kills some bandits, and it's very short, and it means nothing.
It means absolutely nothing. Like nothing about it ever. It's just so. Yeah.
Can you remember what it was called? It had like a stupid name as well, didn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I can't even remember. I played it recently. That's the thing. A lot of the things in Shadows just aren't memorable.
Yeah, they're not. Like I said, I love Shadows, but there's a lot about it that's not really memorable at all. There you go, thrown to the dogs.
Thrown to the dogs, that was it. Which is just like a ridiculous name.
Yeah.
Well.
Yes.
Yeah. You mentioned before the gold farming. This again, I've been away, but I've been watching all the videos on this. I know Joe Raptor was showing everyone how to get the gold, and I think it was discovered by the data miners. They found like a way to exploit gold, which is like the currency for the blacksmith in the game.
Yeah.
You don't want to like grind and use all your resources to level up an item to a certain level, and yeah, you can just get like a piece of gold, and that will automatically take it to your current level. So, for example, if you had like a level 5 gear piece, like a mask that you really liked, and you wanted it to be like level 60, which you are, rather than crafting and upgrading for 55 levels to get up to your level. You could just use a piece of gold, and yeah, they've managed to find a place on the map where you can like walk around and like attack, and all of a sudden your inventory adds loads of like these gold pieces. So it's crazy, and I'm sure Ubisoft are working hard to patch it if they haven't already in this big update. But gold farming is interesting because it's like, how have they found this exact point on the map and exploited it?
I think, firstly, it probably wouldn't surprise me if Ubisoft don't fix it, just for the simple fact that it will get people playing it just so they could get the gold.
I guess so, but then I think gold is something people do for microtransactions, and I imagine they make a ton of money from this. So I reckon they'll be patching this as soon as possible.
So can you get gold from the store?
I imagine so. I don't ever go on the Helix store or
I'm not sure if you can.
But, you know, like these time-saving packs and things and upgrade, you know what I mean? I imagine this is the sort of thing you can buy. It doesn't interest me in the slightest, any of these skins or anything. MTX, it's not for me. I'm not someone who's going to be spending my real money on in-game things, other than like DLC.
So I do have a couple of the skins, but not a lot. Most of them generally are like, I don't really see the point in them at all.
Yeah.
So while we were talking, I quickly brought up Shadows because it was on my quick resume, and I actually don't think you can buy gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have. So they have two unit. They have Norway activities, hidden chests, a hideout resources, which gives you 30 materials, wood, and crops. But then they have a larger one, which then gives you like 450 material, 1,500 wood, and 2,100 crops. So no gold. So potentially this isn't costing Ubisoft anything other than people playing the game.
That's interesting. Maybe intentionally added.
Yeah.
Tipped off a YouTuber. Who knows?
Who knows? But maybe they've just accidentally stumbled across it. But maybe. I don't know about you, but when was the last time you upgraded something in Shadows?
Well, I have to be honest, because I was grinding through Claws of Awaji, so I needed to get to that level of I think I was level 54 at the time. So to be fair, I'm quite good. If I'm playing for like 3 or 4 hours, I start my playthrough at the hideout and I end it at the hideout. I'm quite good. I always see it as like going back to base and upgrading my weapons, so that next time I play it, I'm at like a decent level.
I don't think I've been back to the hideout to upgrade my weapons. I think my weapons are, for Norway, they're like 58, 59, I think. And I'm like 60 something level wise.
Right.
And for Yasuke, that's even lower. So I very rarely go to the hideout at all. Like I spent a lot of time building it, but I don't really go.
Yeah.
I don't go back there for.
There's no reason to, other than
not really.
Really, is there?
No.
What do you gain from it? There's no like narrative experience going on. There's just like little chats with your allies, but it's not interesting.
Yeah, there's the only thing I can imagine going back to the hideout for is, the time skip.
As in,
because you can time skip from the hideout now, can't you? If one of your buildings is built up, I think.
Don't think I'm aware of that one. I might have missed it.
It was one of the things they added in one of their recent updates, I believe.
Right.
That one of your buildings could be upgraded to a certain level, which would enable you to time skip.
As
But
in, like, through the seasons? As in,
yeah,
like,
or
are we talking
night and day as well, I think.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, that's great for the virtual photographers then.
But by the time I've fast traveled to the hideout and I fast travel back to where I need to be,
Yeah.
it's already time skipped already. So I don't need to do that for anything. But
Right.
um,
Interesting that they've added that at this late stage, because I know a lot of the VP community have really wanted to be able to toggle night and day,
yeah,
toggle the seasons, but it's sort of linked very much so to the games like currency, allies. It's all linked to seasons. Even like your bounty, it's linked to the seasons. They couldn't really do it.
yeah, a time skip where at night time would be your best time to attack because the visibility is not that great.
Right, that makes sense.
It's something we talked about in the Halloween episode, I believe, that by having this and then allowing you to time skip sort of negated the point of, like, if in Shadows attacking in daylight is riskier because you're more visible.
Yeah.
That was part of I felt was part of the fun of the game, was trying to work out how to get through this without being seen.
Day or night.
That's so I'm not a big fan of the time skip, but
yeah, like I say, it's very big within the VP community, and I imagine the virtual photographers are going to be loving that new feature.
Yeah.
But from like a gamer, like, it doesn't really benefit you unless you're like planning to attack at night or day.
Yeah, it doesn't really. Again, it's one of these things that probably should have been in from the start.
100%.
All these updates probably should have been in from the start. Obviously, the new quests and stuff, maybe not so much, and the corrupt castles probably not. But the parkour updates, it definitely should have been in there from the beginning. It shouldn't be released in a post date update. It just shouldn't be there, really.
All I'd say is that it feels like the parkour update came from a community sort of feedback point of view.
Yeah.
But then when I look at like corrupted castles and things like that, that comes from like a battle pass and grind sort of perspective.
Yeah.
So I can see it on like two sides, really.
And I think this is where Ubisoft are maybe losing the trust in, like, not many people are really trusting them right now. You've got stuff that should be in the game being taken out of the game, stuff that should be there from the start being added in updates. That it just makes us think, if they had delayed it a little bit longer, maybe an extra, I would have hated it, but maybe an extra 6 months. If they delayed it an extra 6 months, we could have had a completed game. All these things would be in the game already. It does seem like a weird position for them to be in right now.
Yeah, the post-launch material has been all over the place, hasn't it? It has been really strange. I mean, other than the Critical Role collaboration, which was really strong, and I know a lot of people in the community liked that. Voice acting was strong. Rufino was a great character. The quest line of having like the Dark Templars and stuff like that, because that's what they are, really. They are like an offshoot of the Templars, and he comes to question the philosophy and the acts of the people around him, and one of them's his friend. I find it really interesting, that whole thing.
I found the Critical Role the mission to be, I thought it was really good. I thought it was a great collaboration. It was definitely better than the Dead by Daylight collab that they did. But I there's so many more things that they could do. Like, we've seen notes about, I remember one of the first videos I did for the ones who came before was the Black Cross video. We haven't seen anything about the Black Cross since finding a letter that spoke about them. That's and nothing else. It just seems like they're putting stuff out there to try and get people to play, but they're not really paying attention to what we want, really.
This is it. The law is there. They're just not using it. I mean, look at Shadows. I mean, there was already law for Japan, and they've gone and created their own law for Japan, which is worse than what they already had.
Yeah, it's a weird. It's almost like, you know how, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the Witcher on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen the first 2 seasons.
So, or even Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings. So you have the source material, but then they're just going to make their own, especially for Rings of Power, they're just going to change everything about it completely. It's like, but it was already there. It was already good enough as it is. It didn't need changing. You had a good base already. So I'm hoping that with Hexe, they sort of work out what's going on narratively very early on and sort it out.
I'm glad you've mentioned Hexe, because that brings me on to a point I saw. Whilst I was away, there was a tweet. It was from Rockstar Games saying that Grand Theft Auto 6 will now be released on Thursday, November 19th, 2026. We are sorry for adding additional time, but Rockstar's having a nightmare at the minute. I know they've just sacked loads of people for leaking content, and some of the people feel that they were unfairly let go from the company. So there's going to be a lawsuit now, and yeah, that was the whole thing with GTA. Like, behind the scenes, things are getting leaked, but realistically, that would have been the biggest game of 2026, and still will be, but later on in the year.
Yeah.
But it affects everything around it, and of course, that includes Assassin's Creed Hexe, which is a shorter game and will not want to be in the sales window of fall, which it'll come under now for November 2026. And what I saw on Twitter, or X, was Joe Raptor tweeted out saying, "Great, so we have 3 weeks to finish Assassin's Creed Hexe before this." And then Tom Henderson, who's a well-known journalist, leaker, he always covers Assassin's Creed in depth with it's like interviews from people at Ubisoft anonymously, so a lot of things can be like put down as legitimate. He replied saying, "Good job, it's a smaller game." And I think we knew this already, but it makes you think, could you just whiz through Hexe and then GTA comes out in the space of 3 weeks? Probably. It's going to be quite a short game.
I can imagine that, firstly, I think that GTA 6 is slowly becoming Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to be released. It's never going to get out there.
Been pushed back for
a
long time.
But I do think that there are some people who will buy Hexe no matter what is coming out.
Yeah.
So whether GTA comes out or not, like, I will buy Hexe over GTA. So I can't imagine it will affect sale numbers that much, but I do think that it will affect them to a point, because we've heard prices for GTA a lot. Like, I've heard people say it's going to be £100.
Really?
I've heard some people say that they'd happily pay £120 for it.
Like a standard edition?
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think if people have got the choice, do you spend £60 on Hexe, or do you spend £120 on, or however much it's going to be, on GTA and Hexe, or do you just get GTA? So I think potentially being that close together might affect it on a financial setting, because I remember when Shadows were being announced and Monster Hunter Wilds was being released in the same originally the same month, I think, and people were like, I'm going to buy Monster Hunter and not Shadows, and then Shadows got pushed back.
Yeah.
So it kind of alleviated that slightly. So potentially that might have a particular issue, but other than that, I don't think it's gonna make too much of a problem.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it'll be top of the Christmas sales in 2026, and no one can compete with that. You just have to accept that, to be honest. But what I also think as well is that we might also see other companies delaying games just to be away from GTA. Maybe Assassin's Creed Hexe will come out a bit earlier now. Maybe they'll aim for more of a summer launch than like an October. I'm thinking like October Halloween is what they were aiming for, with like the spooky vibes that we've seen so far in the teaser. Maybe they would have liked a Halloween launch, but don't even risk it now. I think just bring it forward, or I wouldn't like them to delay it to 2027, because then Assassin's Creed's getting pushed back ages, really. And they're always delaying things. But yeah, I think bring it forward. Be a bit brave with it.
I think I would even go as far as I don't mind waiting until 2027 for it.
Right.
Because I think one of two things is going to happen if it does get released. It's either going to live up to the hype or it's never going to live up to the hype. But you can't take that risk. So if you release it beforehand, and let's say Hexe is an amazing game, somehow Ubisoft have managed to work out their narrative problems and they're able to write the most perfect game. When GTA 6 comes out, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how great the game is. Like it's going to change your perspective on the game straight away.
It's probably going to break records.
Yeah. It's going to, I think it will possibly be an instant game of the year.
Yeah.
It's going to
win also. It'll probably sweep up.
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't be too annoyed to just say that 2026 is a write-off for any game, assassin-wise. I would even argue that potentially if they were going to do a remake of a certain game, that could be the only game that would probably contend with GTA 6 for an assassin game. I think that's
I'd like them to shadow drop that.
I think they're going to shadow drop it.
That'd be cool.
I think they're going to do it the same way that how Oblivion was announced. Like they were just like, oh, by the way, you can play it now.
Yeah, it's a shame though, because even though Oblivion Remastered was leaked, people didn't think it was real. But with Ubisoft, everything gets leaked, so they'll plan on shadow dropping it. All the assets, concept art, everything will leak out in the days before any trailers are seen, because obviously they'll launch the game, but then the trailers will come out. That's what they tend to do with these things.
I think the best way to do it is have a event that's like where you can announce it, because I think there's one coming up just before Christmas, I think, or the game of the year. Announce it there, and then have someone on the stage go, oh, and by the way, you can play it now.
That's cool.
You've given nobody a chance to say anything about it. You've had nobody to dispute it. It's there, it's ready, and it's good to go. And I think that's the way to do it. I think that's why the Oblivion remaster or remake did so well, because it was like, because I was one of the people that was like, oh my God, I thought it was real, then it wasn't real, then it was, and then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, you can play it now. I think with something like Black Flag, I think that's the only way they can do it. That's the only way they'll get away with it.
Yeah. But we often talk about Black Flag and what it means, what it could bring. But in terms of like the nostalgia, I can just see you're like, oh no, not again, not your favorite. But yeah, when it comes to like Edward and everything, I just want them to get it right. But then my worry is if they start delaying Assassin's Creed projects, like for example, let's say Black Flag gets delayed till like late summer. For whatever reasons, like development issues, or maybe Tencent wants to have a final say over it. Maybe they want to add the China Sea or something. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, maybe they want to add extra content and things. Make sure they get the microtransaction shop correct. Post-launch content, DLC. Who knows what they're going to do with this, right? But I like the idea that Joe Raptor had on the Rally the Creed episode we had. It was where Assassin's Creed Infinity, the platform, everyone is like using it all at once. And what is it they call it now? Is it still called Infinity? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the launcher.
Oh yeah, I think it is still called.
Yeah. And I like the idea that everyone goes on that, and then like if you're playing Assassin's Creed at that moment, a pop-up will come up saying we've got a secret, and then like you click it, and you who are an Assassin's Creed fan playing the game at that moment will be the first person.
Oh, could you imagine that would be
about Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake with like an exclusive trailer? Like this is for our fans as like a thank you for supporting the brand, and the people who are actively playing it at that moment are the first ones to find out about it. I just think what a cool way to use that platform.
That would be insane.
Community together, you feel like a small part of it, if that makes sense. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I think that would be,
because it's just a launcher right now, and I think we've said quite a lot how Infinity doesn't really add anything right now. But yeah, that's a cool way of doing it.
It doesn't, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a few people out there that don't even know what Infinity is.
Sorry, Animus Hub. That's the new title of it, isn't it? That's what they call it now. It's all the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I can imagine that nobody really knows what it is and what it really does. So I can imagine that would be a good way to do it. It'd be like, oh, you are the first to see this.
I think that's cool. I like the idea, and it'd be a good way of bringing the community together. Everyone feels like they've sort of earned it in a way.
Yeah, like, definitely. I think that would be a great thing. I wanted to ask you, I'm very big on character creation in video games. I really like making my own character. Do you think that it would, one, would it work in an Assassin's Creed game? And two, would you like to see it in an Assassin's Creed game? So I think
this is like a create your own assassin.
Yeah. So modern day character is all decided. That's already made out. But you know how in like Odyssey and Valhalla it was like, oh, we've got 2 DNAs here.
Yeah.
And which one did you want to pick? Maybe have something like, oh, we know about this character or this person, but we don't know what they look like. Let's just say they have to be male or they have to be female. That's the only thing that is
known about this person.
It is known, but everything else, the way how they look, that's not known. The way they sound when they're doing cutscenes and stuff, we don't know what they sound like. We don't know what they look like. How do you one, do you think that would work? And two, would you like to see it?
From being truthfully honest, I think that would be incredibly damaging to Assassin's Creed,
okay,
the brand as a whole. So I'm thinking back to my playthroughs of Oblivion or Skyrim. Some of my characters are freaks. Like, they look so weird. Like we've got like mad hair colors. You've got crazy looks and stuff. And I can just imagine like all sorts of strange looking assassins throughout history, and I just think it'd be incredibly damaging to the brand. I don't think it would benefit anyone. Yes, we've got RPG elements, but I don't think this is needed at all. The only reason I would allow this really from like without backlash, because I'd be kicking off if they did this in a historical point. I'd be like, what are you doing? Yeah, so from like a lore perspective, maybe the modern day character, if they were going with the you are the modern day character, you know, like they did with Black Flag, like you are the Animus researcher. If they did it like that, then you could look however you like and do whatever you want. The other one is Assassin's Creed Invictus, which is meant to be the multiplayer game, which is like a Fall Guys style, where it's like a cute little bit emoji thing. If you could do what you like with that, I think I'd be fine with that. But from like a historical point of view, I think just leave it. And there's a good point from Noah. You can customize Eivor's hair and tattoos in Valhalla. I don't think we need to go any further than that. I think that's the extent of what we need to do or should be allowed to do, really, because I think you can have too much control and freedom. And when it comes to like a historical character, they are meant to be your ancestor or someone's ancestor who has lived. This is how they look. This is how they sounded. I don't want them to be messing with history in that sense.
Okay, yeah. So the reason I thought about it was because my oldest daughter absolutely loves the Tudors.
Oh yeah.
And she mentioned something that I don't particularly know a lot of, but she loves it, so she knows everything. Is that apparently Henry VIII burned all the pictures of Anne Boleyn, so nobody really knows what she looks like.
Okay, interesting.
But if obviously there would be ancestors that hold her DNA. So if they were to go back and be Anne Boleyn, for instance, we don't know what she looks like. So I think that's where I was going with it. Like potentially you'd be like, oh, we know she's a woman. This is their name. So why don't you tell us as instead of like Black Flag, as we mentioned, you're supposed to be the modern day character. That's why it's done in that first person horrible view. So why not give you the option to make them look however you want, and not like Oblivion? Yeah, you can go crazy with the hairs and stuff, but what if they did it as this is the hairstyles for the time period.
Right.
You can only pick from these types. I don't know. Maybe I love character creation. It's where I spend most of my time in video games, if it has one. So it was just a thought.
No, it's an interesting point. I can see it getting a bit controversial, though, especially with like messing around with like historical characters, like you say, Anne Boleyn, for example. If it wasn't your assassin character and you were like changing up like a historical character, there would be like the race element as well, which people would probably find quite offensive.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Hamilton, for example.
Yeah.
Not everyone agrees with the like race swapping and that, for example.
Yeah, I get it. I do see what you mean. It was just more of a. This is not something we've seen in an Assassin's Creed game ever, really, other than this is what Eivor looks like. This is what Cassandra or Alexios looks like.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I like the concept for like other games. I think it works really well in other games. You know, I obviously mentioned Oblivion, The Witcher, Skyrim. You know, they do it really well. But with Assassin's Creed, I think just save it for the modern day. Let us create ourselves as modern day. And this is the other thing: you're going to get kids jumping on and creating like offensive names and looks and things.
Yeah.
And it just gets out of hand. Who moderates this? You know, when you've got a character called like Adolf Schmittler or something, do you know what I mean? They're running around with
I
stupid
get,
names.
but potentially, if we were, because the reason I thought about it was because of Anne Boleyn. Let's say we know that Anne Boleyn that's her name. We know that she was a French, like aristocracy, royalty or whatever. So potentially, you could add limitations to it so that not everybody could take the mick with it. So we couldn't change names, we couldn't change races really. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying it would work. I probably would like to see it in some form.
It'd be interesting. It would definitely be divisive. It would be.
100%. I agree.
But you know, I hope they do it in some form, maybe like the modern day or something, because then it'll give us a really good episode diving into it.
Yeah, or even that, if they did it modern day, you can make the character look like you, or again, you have a name, and that's it. You don't have your what your race is, what you look like, what you sound like, and in one way, shape, or form, I think potentially it could offer that uniqueness, maybe. But then potentially, do you have the same problem that you, as we're talking about, I'm now about to debunk my own question. So in Odyssey, obviously, most people, myself included, when I first played Odyssey, I picked Alexios. And then when I found out that he wasn't the chronological character and they gave us Cassandra, I was a bit like, oh. I was like, oh. So potentially you'd be like, oh, my character looks like this. And then in the next game or whatever, they're going to have to mention this character, or they're going to have to show you this character. And it's not going to look like what you chose it to look like. So
right. It's
so
hard
potentially
to
that's a no.
a game where the character's not got like a set look.
Yeah.
They just have to show like in Oblivion again, like the race, you know, like the Argonians and the Nords and things. They can just show like the generic ones, which is like a template that you then design from.
Yeah. Maybe
one day. I imagine if they did like an Assassin's Creed set like 400 years in the future, you could maybe design like the jetpacks and the hair colours and who knows.
Who knows? While we're talking about the future of Assassin's Creed, I have a question. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of Assassin's Creed protagonists? Now, I've asked this question across all my socials. I'm also going to say that Aya and Haytham can be added to this, because Haytham had a discussion with somebody, and he was like, Haytham's not a protagonist. Haytham is the main character for a quarter of Assassin's Creed 3. So in my book, he is a protagonist, and by all definition, he is one. So my question is, who is your Mount Rushmore of Assassin's Creed protagonists?
It's a good question, James, and it's sparked a lot of conversation online. We've had loads of responses.
Oh, it did. It did.
You know what other people think. And to give a bit of context, guys, if you're unfamiliar with this, Mount Rushmore is a huge sculpture. It is in the Black Hills region of South Dakota. I've pulled up the wiki so that we can give a bit of an idea of where it is. So it is the 60-foot high granite faces depicting US presidents George Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. And to give you guys an idea in terms of context, we're not talking about like putting Assassin's Creed faces on there in real life, and like if one of us were president or anything. We are purely talking like who are our like top 4 most important Assassin's Creed characters. For me, obviously, I'd start with Ezio. He's going to be on there. I think I'd be amazed if anyone did this question without adding Ezio, to be truthfully honest with you.
Before you continue, I had quite a few that didn't have Ezio on their list.
Wow.
I had quite a few that didn't have Altair on their list either.
Wow.
So it has happened,
Yeah.
but I do have definitive numbers on who is on this list. So
Interesting. So add Ezio on there for me. He can be
so we have
Master Assassin, the Mentor.
Ezio twice.
Add Ezio on there for me.
Yeah.
Altair, of course,
Yeah.
needs to go on there for me. Who else would I add? I think I'd probably add Aya Amunet
Yeah.
as like the founder of the Creed. I say she probably did more to establish the Creed than Bayek. Even though Bayek, we play as him, I think Aya did more for it. And then finally, I would also add Desmond, as he did save the world.
Okay.
And he's a modern day assassin. So that is my 4. And we've got some interesting ones. Nikki's added one here. She's added Basim and Narway.
So Nick, I have already added Nikki's to the tally already. That has already been done. Before I talk, I want to talk about 3 characters that I didn't expect to see on the list. So I added Hexe on my Mount Rushmore, but also I've got Shay and Darius.
Interesting. Oh, Darius is a good one.
So Darius was Shay was, I expected some people to say Shay, but Shay was definitely a surprise, and Darius was an even bigger surprise.
Yeah.
I will say this. I have Evie has more selection choices than Narway and Arno.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
We
very
had 3
popular.
characters with... so we had 2 characters with 5 picks. It would have been 3, but you added Aya to yours, which meant that she was picked 6 times.
Wow, popular then.
So we had Eivor and Basim picked 5 times, which Eivor, I think, even getting picked once was
I'm
too many.
thinking that. I wouldn't even consider Eivor for this list.
No.
We're talking about people who are like pivotal for the assassins throughout history.
So
Eivor,
on my list, I had Ezio, Altair, Bayek, and Hexe. That was my list.
Interesting. Okay. So I want to ask about the Hexe selection, James, because obviously you've got 3 assassins there,
And a Templar, yes, because
Templar. So interesting.
one, because I thought it was a weird twist, but also I think Hexe as a character has done way more. He basically, without him, I don't think the British Templars would have stood a chance. So I think he builds so much, and he makes Connor a better assassin. But I think all round he is a better character. He's more charismatic. He's charming. And if we look at Ezio, there's no one more charming and more charismatic than him, but Hexe's definitely up there. His combat skills is equal to Altair's, and I think he has just as much influence in the order as Bayek does. So I definitely think he's comparable to those 3 I'd already put up there. It is a weird choice.
It's an interesting choice, though.
But
everyone's got a different selection. That's why it's such a great question.
I actually thought he would get picked more.
Right.
and the fact that he didn't was shocking to me. Next, we went on to so we've got Io. She was picked 6 times. Then we go to Cassandra. She was picked 8 times. Cassandra was picked.
Interesting. Okay, there's another strange one to me because obviously not an assassin.
I would also like to point out that Jacob Alexios weren't picked at all.
Really?
So not once were they picked. Then we're going into the double digits now. Oh, sorry. Connor was picked 9 times.
Right. Again, that's a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like people who like really built the Brotherhood.
So then we're going into
area.
Yeah, I think most people were like, I think some people did their favorite characters.
Yeah.
And I think some people did. These characters did something for the franchise, if not in the lore of Assassin's Creed. So then we go into 10s. And this really is who's in 4th spot. Because the top 3 were picked way early on. There's such a glaring difference between the top 3 and
I could maybe guess this.
So we had in number 4 is either Desmond or Edward, with both with 10 picks each.
Oh wow. Interesting.
So Edward and Bayek had 10. Right. So it's entirely up to the fans on where that comes from. Edward, I think, is a wild choice to be that high up on the list.
Right.
I think mainly that's just down to the popularity of Black Flag.
Yeah.
But then we had
an assassin perspective. I guess you could say he becomes a master assassin later on.
Yeah.
It's what he does after the games and in the book and the comics. He's a master assassin who is like looking for the pieces of Eden around the world, making a difference and establishing like the British Brotherhood. So you know he did it, you just don't see it in Black Flag.
So then we had number 3, which with your choice took him to 17 votes, which was Bayek.
Right, okay.
So that was wild. Sorry, I think I messed up. It was Edward and Desmond, with 10 picks each.
Yeah.
And then Bayek with 17.
Mm-hmm.
Which was surprising to me. Because we know he's one of the founders of the Hidden Ones.
People see him as the father of the Brotherhood, don't they?
But I would say that Aya had more of an influence on.
I totally agree.
So I think to have him so high, I think is it shows how good he was in Odyssey Origins. I think, and then we had the top 2, which I think everyone's going to guess who the top 2 is, but this was so close that it's literally come down to 1 point.
Oh wow!
It was really close, and for a day and a half, Altair was clear by like 10 points. But then I had quite a few that didn't have Altair on their list at all. So number 2 spot with 23 points was Altair.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And then with
the list so differently.
And then with 24 points, it was the GOAT himself. It was Ezio.
Of course.
There's
no doubt about that.
I think in everybody's list, so I asked my partner who doesn't play video games, I asked her to give me her Mount Rushmore, and she said that you couldn't have a Mount Rushmore without Altair and Ezio. And I think if I saw this list without Altair or Ezio in it, I'd be like, what is going on? Because I think
Show you this. To give you an idea of what the Mount Rushmore could look like.
There you go, perfect. See, that would be great. That's actually reminded
I feel like
me.
they actually look quite like it in a way.
Yeah, they do.
These are super rare.
I'm glad you've pointed those out because before we continue talking about this, we talked about doing a Secret Santa gift for ourselves. And I actually was looking at what to get you. And I'm glad that you've showed me that because it now means that I don't get those, which one of those was on my list of things to get.
Really?
Yeah,
they're really expensive.
I'm really glad that I didn't. I don't think it would be as well made as those, but it was somewhat similar was definitely on my list. So
that's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to doing that. It's gonna be a fun episode.
So yeah, I think so. We do actually have a Mount Rushmore decided by the fans and all of us at the ones who came before, and the Mount Rushmore is Ezio, Altair, Bayek. Now, we just need to decide on whether Desmond or Edward should be on there because they had the same number, but...
Yeah, I don't think Edward belongs on there. As much as I love Black Flag, I see him as like a standalone, and he was very selfish as well, but I feel like Desmond sacrificed his life. So, and also... They can make a statue of you if you give your life to save the world.
I actually, this is going to sound shocking to anybody, but I actually agree. I don't think Edward should be on the list. I really don't think he should be. I think when you look at things that Desmond has done and the things that Edward has done, they're not even comparable, really. So I think we have to get rid of Edward, and it has to be Desmond. I think it's the only correct choice.
I think we have our Mount Rushmore.
So I think we have our Mount Rushmore has been decided. There we go. The official Assassin's Creed Mount Rushmore is Edward, Ezio, Altair, Bayek, and Desmond.
Very good. Big thank you to everyone who submitted their top Mount Rushmore suggestions. We had a real mix in this.
There was a lot. As I mentioned, I also got told that there was such a array of characters being picked. Some that I didn't even think about, and I was like, oh, actually, that makes sense, or that's a great choice, and it was really great to see that so many people had picked so many different people. But then it goes back to what I've said multiple times before, is that us as fans, we couldn't agree on who should be on Mount Rushmore. I don't think anyone's list was exactly the same as someone else's. I think everyone's list was completely different. So again, us as fans, if we can't work out what's great and what's not, I don't know how we expect Ubisoft to figure it out either.
I've got another one for you, James. We should ask guests going forward who would be their Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
Members and like content creators.
That'd be a good one.
Have on there.
That would be fun to find out whose would make the list.
I think it's interesting because I guess basically you're asking who are your favorite Assassin's Creed content creators.
Pretty much, but
I guess at the same time it's like whose content has had a real impact on the community over the years.
So I think
we'll ask people.
I think when you come to Mount Rushmore, it's really difficult because obviously, from what I understand, on Mount Rushmore, there's Washington,
There's
Lincoln.
Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. Obviously, all historical figures who brought something different. So, yeah, interesting one.
I'm not a massive knowledgeable on American history to understand why they were put on there, but
Well, we've had a really good response from Noah on the community question. He says, Master Assassin, Leo K, The Hidden One, and Willis makes movies. Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, there you go.
Fantastic.
I'm a bit offended that I didn't make your list, Noah, but okay, cool. I understand.
Oh, that's good. No, they're all great content creators. That's a really good list, Noah. And thank you for responding so quickly with that. That's great.
I wonder if we can find out why they were added to the...
Yeah, I think I was looking into this. It's quite controversial about the actual history of Mount Rushmore because I'm sure there was like a big war nearby between like the local tribes and...
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was sort of put up like later on to depict like democracy, but it was done on like a sacred land. So I know a lot of people think they shouldn't be modifying like natural, like what is it, like a cliff face?
Oh, yeah, like a historical natural landmark or...
Yeah, natural landmark. That's a good way of putting it.
So I do have why they were on the list.
Oh, yeah?
I do have why they could be added to the side of the mountain. I'll take that. I'll just have a little rock on the side. That'd be great. So Washington is on there because he represents the birth of the United States. Jefferson is on there because he symbolizes the expansion of the country, including the Louisiana Purchase.
Right.
Roosevelt represents the nation's development, such as the construction of the Panama Canal. And Lincoln because he represents the preservation of the nation through the Civil War.
Right, okay.
So they're all on there for the most important events for the first 150 years of the American history.
We might not be the best to answer this question, James, but how would you feel if they proposed plans to add another, like, I don't know, president?
It depends on who.
I'm not saying of recent times. I'm certainly not suggesting.
It depends on who the president is, I think.
Years. I'm just saying, how would you feel if they proposed plans to add someone from the last 100 years, for example?
I don't, as somebody that's not directly affected by it or has any real thought about it, I'm not too fussed. But I think if you're going to stick them against these men that represent a particular part of the country,
and the history,
surely if you're adding someone, they have to be equally or better than what is already up there. And I worry that the egos of some people might get in the way of some things. And
I don't even know if they could these days. It's probably like a natural, what do we call it in the UK? Like a list, we list.
Oh yeah, it's like a listed building. Yeah,
like a listed building. Where it's like you literally can't edit or modify this because
I think I read somewhere that it's
actually not sure.
I think I read somewhere that it's falling to pieces.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's like cracks in it and all sorts.
Been there a long time. I wonder if they keep having to make like minor edits to it, or
maybe
they have to glue it together, a bit of blue tack.
So on the back of that question, if they were going to do something like that in the UK, let's say they were going to, I don't know, deface Snowden, for instance. It's the only mountain that comes to mind. How would you feel about that if they were to stick prime ministers or royals from the last 1,000 years or whatever?
I wouldn't agree with that. I think it'd be destructive of the landscape that's already there, like beautiful wilderness, and I don't think we need to add our own egos onto that at all, really, no matter how great these people are. Obviously, this was done, Mount Rushmore was done, I think I read earlier, like, was it 1890 or something like that?
Yeah, so the country's been around since, like, well, it's been around forever, but as a nation, I think 17 something.
Yeah. But in terms of, like, it was probably different back when Mount Rushmore was created. It was probably like, we're going to do this to make our mark on the land. But these days, I feel like people would be like out and about, picket signs, fences. They're going to be like very vocal about it. I mean, you wouldn't go to the Lake District or somewhere like a beautiful.
Yeah, because you imagine.
It just wouldn't fly here.
Do you think that's because of the day and age that we live in? So let's say back in the 1800s and they did it, I don't think people would probably have minded too much. But I think now, probably because we are more aware of certain things that potentially it probably wouldn't slide as much.
I guess society has changed a lot. I mean, I imagine a lot of the people who did have issue with this were the local tribes, and they were defeated, a lot of them, or pushed away from the land. And I think that's part of the problem, that they were silenced and their story wasn't told. Where here in the UK is a very vocal. If you disrupt anything, people are very vocal, aren't they? It'll be all over the news. I guess the rise of social media as well. I just don't think it would go down very well. But I wouldn't like to answer in terms of politicians. I couldn't even think of 4, to be honest. I think it's a very divisive issue.
I couldn't think of 4 politicians.
Or even royals.
I could probably think of 4.
Not everyone likes the Queen either, so it's very difficult. You're not going to please everyone with this.
No,
I could maybe do it for footballers.
But even then, I think footballers, it would be controversial because something that's not, obviously it's not as bad, but did you see that David Beckham was knighted?
I did, yes, at last.
And I had so many people go, but why? Why was he knighted? Right. He didn't win anything, and they're kind of right. He didn't win anything, but his work with charity and stuff. So potentially,
that's what it is.
So
he's been doing it for years, like 30, 40 years of like fundraising.
Yeah,
and he comes from a council estate. He's just a local lad who, majority of the time, in like the later part of his career, has used his money to help others.
Yeah.
Like, he's a genuine nice person, like from what I've seen on like the documentary and everything. So I think he's done an awful lot. Like, he's gone to Africa and provided clothing, and when I was growing up, when you like look on like adverts of people who were doing a lot abroad in terms of like fundraising and like charity work, David Beckham, and then he was like the big one. And I guess Cristiano Ronaldo did quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Not on the same level, really, but for sure. Like, I have no like objection to David Beckham being knighted. I think it could have happened years ago, but there was some leaked emails where he was saying, like, swearing about the fact that he hadn't even been named.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a bit upset that they hadn't even like suggested his name. Wow. And he was like, "Where's mine?" And it set him back about 6 or 7 years, apparently.
That's brilliant.
He had to do more good work in that time.
So the last section before we end is pitching an Assassin's Creed game.
Like it.
It's something we talk about quite a lot. Obviously, not last week, but the Halloween special, we spoke about the Black Plague. We've spoken about Scotland. We've spoken about your personal favourite of Australia. We've talked about so many different games, and we've asked all of our guests what they would like to pitch. But something that popped up, just a general conversation in our Discord, was a Gunpowder plot Assassin's Creed game. Firstly, I want to know, how would you feel about a Gunpowder plot game? So I think it would be set around 1605. And my question is, do you think, what would you like to see? How would you like that to play out? What would you like to see?
Just reading a little bit about Guy Fawkes. Obviously, we've just had Bonfire Night. Here in the UK, it's a big thing. If you're in a city or a town, there'll be some kind of bonfire. There'll be a firework display. Everyone takes the kids. It's a great thing. But we don't really think about Guy Fawkes that much, really, whilst we're there. Like, you're just there to enjoy the fireworks and everything. But looking back at it from like a historical point of view, Guy Fawkes would be a really cool way of the assassins trying to take out the Templars. It was an attempt to blow up Parliament. Maybe the Templars had infiltrated Parliament at the time, and it was an attempt to reset and change the controlling party at the time, and maybe install an assassin in Parliament. Maybe that was what they were going for. That'd be really cool if they could do it like that. Obviously, we know that it was actually down to, like, it was Catholics who were trying to make a difference to the way things were being run, and obviously we all know that it failed as well, and that's the reason it's well known and why we celebrate Guy Fawkes Night. They failed in their attempts to blow up the House of Lords. Fawkes was sentenced to hanging, drawn, quartered. However, he was executed by breaking his neck. So they just hung him in the end. I don't know if they did all the other things as well, but possibly afterwards. So pretty brutal, but it would be really cool to play as an assassin you know is going to die. Failed.
So being hung, drawn, and quartered, firstly, from what I understand, you're alive for all of it.
That's awful.
So I'm pretty sure the only other person I know that was hung, drawn, and quartered was William Wallace.
Right, yes.
And he was alive.
It's brutal.
So it's brutal. But so on our list, it's like, who's the Templars and who's the assassins? And you instantly did what I did first and went, oh, Guy Fawkes is an assassin.
Right.
But what if he wasn't? What if he was a Templar?
Okay, yeah.
So Parliament is run by the king, his eldest son, it was King James the First.
Mm-hmm.
His son Prince Henry was in Houses of Parliament. So potentially you could have that they are assassin allies.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah,
you could have the Templars as like Guy Fawkes. I've got a couple of names here. So Thomas Percy, the Wright brothers, and the Winter brothers. A couple of others. So potentially you could have, they are your main Templars. You've got, on my list on here, I've got other conspirators, which are people who joined later on. So you could have them as the smaller Templars that you would take out.
Yeah.
Who would then lead to the bigger people. So I have here a guy called Thomas Bates, who was the servant of Robert Gatesby, who was the leader and mastermind of the Gunpowder plot. So you could have him as the main Templar that you take out.
It's interesting, isn't it? And this says that it was an attempt to assassinate King James and the members of the Houses of Parliament. I mean, if it had gone ahead, we'd probably have a completely different royal family to what we have now. We'd probably have everything would be different, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'd have. So even it's literally someone says here that the plotters also planned to kidnap King James's 9-year-old daughter, Princess Elizabeth, who would have not been at Parliament, and place her on the throne as the Catholic monarch. So she could have. So that would have changed everything completely, I think, and it would have changed the landscape of the country for sure.
I think it's really interesting. This could be like a really dark game. You know, before we mentioned like a potential dark trilogy starting with Hexe. I think the Gunpowder plot would be really cool. You'd have scenes in York because that's where he's from. Obviously, Parliament's in London, so you'd have the UK back. There's links to Spain as well, I believe, with Guy Fawkes. I think I read that before. Here we are. Yeah, it's saying he was also known as Guido Fawkes while fighting for the Spanish, even though he was English. So there's all sorts of like allegiances going on there. It'd be interesting though. I think it'd be really dark. And obviously knowing what we do now of how it ended up, maybe you could play as, let's say they were Templars or assassins. Maybe you could play as someone who like witnessed it but wasn't caught.
Yeah.
And like got away.
I think it's a really great setting. I do think that these type of things are what I think Ubisoft should look at more, because we have like the stuff that Altair had to deal with. We know from history that really happened, like the Crusaders in the Holy Land. It was a horrible period of time. Then you've got Ezio in Italy with the Borgias. That really happened. They weren't particularly nice people. So that I think when they rely heavily on these sort of events in time, I think it works really well. So potentially such a thing as the Gunpowder plot, like we know how it ends. Like most things in history, we know how they end, but we never know how they begin, and we never know what happens in the middle. So they could take some creative licenses.
It could be a great Assassin's Creed story, really, couldn't it? You think it's an attempted assassination that's gone wrong. There's two different groups involved. Yeah, they could really manipulate this to be the Assassin Templar conflict.
Yeah, you could even do this as you could even do this as like the Gunpowder plot is the beginning of the game.
Right, yeah.
So let's say, if for your idea, the plotters are the assassins. Let's say you're a newly recruited assassin. You're at the hideout. You're waiting to hear back from. You're waiting to hear the explosion. You're waiting to hear something back. Nothing ever happens, and then the next day, you hear that Guy Fawkes has been captured. This has happened, and then you have to deal with being in the city while the Templars are actively cracking down on all these things. So there's so many different things that we could go.
It sounds so good.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I'm up for this. Even if it was like a smaller title.
Yeah, I think
8 plotters caught. This could be like the Assassin Brotherhood going underground, trying to, maybe not so much the thing about like assassinating the king or queen, unless they were linked to the Templars as well. The thing is, Assassin's Creed might already have lore on this. I haven't looked into any of that.
Potentially. So
interesting.
I've looked before when talking about stuff, and I've seen that we don't really have, like, we know that for some reason Alexander the Great has helped out the Templars. I don't know where, I don't know why. Right. It just came up one day while I was doing research for something. But So potentially there could be that they already in their mind have an idea of where they're going to go with this.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like the concept, and it's an interesting time period. Obviously, we just had Bonfire Night, but it sort of reminds me of. Have you seen V for Vendetta?
yeah, I love that film. It's great.
Yeah, which is like a modern twist on it, which I also
Yeah.
really like. So, maybe they could even. Yeah, he's very like an assassin as well, V.
Yeah,
So that would be a cool modern day sort of
he's
Assassin's Creed story going along the lines of like, oh, we don't need guns, we're gonna have like swords, and we're gonna like infiltrate more and that sort of thing. Wear a mask, and yeah, I think that's a really cool film, and I think a lot of people watch it in November.
yeah. How would you feel about if they did a completely like a alternate universe of this is what the modern day would be like if the Templars took over? So I imagine that a modern day would kind of follow the line of V for Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be curfews, there'd be stuff. You're not allowed to listen to particular music. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to read. Or if they did this is what would happen if the assassins win, and this is what modern day would look like.
I think it's interesting, and it sort of reminds me of the Watch Dogs, the Darcy spin-off, where there's like a modern day assassin storyline. It's non-canon to Assassin's Creed, but it's really interesting is what they do. It's sort of like a what if scenario. What if there was an assassin in the Watch Dogs universe who discovered a tomb underneath London? It had like Jacob and Evie and Edward statues everywhere, and it was really, really quite well put together. Even though it was like a what if scenario rather than like a canonical Assassin's Creed modern day storyline. I'm actually not offended by this. Like as long as it's not like crazy powers and stuff, where it's like Connor with his powers, the wolf powers and stuff. That was just too much for. Even though that was what if. Scenario, it was just a bit much, but I think if they did it in like a grounded way, I'm actually not having a problem with that. How do you feel about it? You like Marvel?
I don't know how I feel about what if scenarios. I know I'm currently writing a script for a what if, but that's only because I like Haytham as a character, but I don't know if I entirely like them. I like things the way they are. I like Captain America has been Steve Rogers for however long. Yeah. I like that. I like Peter Parker being Spider-Man. But I do think it offers this fresh take on stories. So I actually think it would be really good if they did something I've spoken about on my channel. Like, what if Ezio, when he saw his family being murdered, what if he took the route that Haytham did? Right. What if they decided to recruit him instead of him going against them? Yeah. What would that look like? If Ezio was a Templar, would they have taken over the world?
Yeah, there's so many different things.
There's so many different scenarios, and it's usually what if our protagonist wasn't our protagonist? What if Altair was corrupt by the Apple of Eden?
Mm-hmm.
What would that look like? What would if Haytham became a assassin? Would we still have Connor? And if we still had Connor, would Connor become a Templar, or would he become an assassin? If I like the Haytham one because I think it has such a knock-on effect. If Haytham was still an assassin,
mm-hmm.
you have the Connor arc. But then if Haytham was still an assassin, would Shay have left the assassins?
Right. Well,
if Shay didn't leave the assassins,
if Haytham was an assassin, would Connor even have been born? because he'd be following the creed. And
So I'm at this point in my script now, and I think he would. I think he would still go
right,
because he would want to meet up with Achilles and do that whole sort of build a relationship. So he would be there, but he would be there under a different guise. But I like the idea of if Haytham was still an assassin, would Shay still be an assassin? And if Shay was, Shay wouldn't be there to kill Arno's dad, which means Arno's dad would still be alive.
Oh, this is cool.
Which means that Arno would be raised by his dad as an assassin, which means Arno would be a better assassin and wouldn't be a crybaby so much. So one decision from Haytham has affected so many people across such a broad spectrum that I think it would
also like 80-year period, 70-year period, whatever it might be. I mean, it all comes back to Edward's death, doesn't it, really, in 1725?
Yeah. So that's where I start my what if is instead of Haytham being picked up by the Templars, he's picked up by, I think in my script I said Adewale, but it would be someone that's loyal to Edward, so potentially picking him up and taking him away and raising him in his father's image. And so potentially, I think when it's like that, and it could have such a wide influence, just changing Haytham from a Templar to an assassin potentially affects 4 characters in Assassin's Creed.
That's cool.
Never mind the people that would affect everybody else. Because thinking about it, also, if Haytham was still an assassin, would Achilles be the mentor he was that drove Shay away in the first place, or would he be completely different? So there's so many different.
And there's big knock-on effect going on here, isn't there?
Whereas I think when it's little things like, if, for instance, at Norway, if Hanzo and Norway's mom actually spoke to each other in Awaji, would it really make much difference?
Yeah.
Potentially, probably not.
I'm actually up for these what-if storylines. Like, the storylines you've pitched here have all been very grounded and, like, could have happened if they'd gone the other way with their writing, rather than what if Connor had superpowers, like I mentioned before, which was too much, really.
Yeah, I don't like it when it's like, what if Ezio could fly? It's just silly. It's just pointless.
Yeah, it's not questions we're asking.
Yeah, but what if Ezio died with his dad? What if his younger brother was alive? Or what if Claudia had watched her entire family be slaughtered? Or
would she have become an assassin?
Yeah, would these things have a knock-on effect? Or when it's like that, and we can say, okay, if Ezio saw his family die and decided, do you know what, they were too weak, I can stop this from happening to anyone else again, and decided to go against the Templars, would he have found Altair's library? Would he have met Altair when he was older? Would he have gone to Constantinople? Would he have done these things? Would we still love him as much as a character if he had done these things? Or
there's a lot of good questions there, and I think that's a good note to end on, really. Get people thinking, especially with the pitch in an Assassin's Creed game with the guy Fawkes, and also the storylines you've mentioned there, the knock-on effects. There's a lot Assassin's Creed could do with a what-if scenario sort of situation, especially if it was like episodic, or they could even do it like the Chronicles style games.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to be like how the games are, unless they did it like DLC, but loads of ways you could do it, and I think it's a really interesting thing to discuss.
I think if Ubisoft is listening, I love my job as a chef, but if Ubisoft are listening and you need a writer, I'm here. I'll sit here and write, because no doubt I'm going to potentially end up writing a Guy Fawkes Gunpowder plot pitch, because it's in my head now, and that's it. And it's all. So
we have such interesting conversations when we come together, and then like by the time we've done the next one, you're halfway through an article about something we've discussed. It's great.
I'm like, okay,
just bounce ideas off each other in these episodes.
Yeah, so I'm like, right, I've talked about this. Now I can't stop thinking about it. So now I have to write it down. And when I write it down, I can't just scribble down, I need to be like, right, okay, we need names, we need settings, we need this, we need this.
I think it's great. I love this sort of conversation where we're pitching.
Potentially, that will be another one that I will inevitably end up writing.
Keep an eye out for that one, guys, over the coming weeks on the Ones That Came Before's website. Got lots of development and an exciting time. Sorry if I've come across as really low energy in this one. I'm so tired.
Mate, I can imagine you're absolutely tired, and I've just seen the time.
Today was my first day back at work after 9 days off, and I'm just exhausted. Yeah, it's been great, James. It's been really fun, and I'm glad we've covered the news. Obviously, lots of other things as well, and tons of stuff to get into on this one. We had great discussions, and a big thank you to everyone who's written in, voted on the Rushmore conversation, and kept the conversations going throughout. We've had some great comments. Sorry if we've missed any, but feel free to head to the Ones That Came Before's website, top right hand corner, it says contact. If you've got any writings for the show, send anything our way. We're more than happy to discuss Assassin's Creed related topics, or not. It can be life related, but anything relating to AC, we're happy to dive into, really. So send it our way on the website, and we'll bring it up in a future episode. This has been episode 17, but many more planned, lots of exciting things in development. So big thank you for listening, guys.
Also, you can also message us on our TikTok account, on Twitter. There's always somebody around somewhere checking notifications and anything. So we're more than happy to reply to anything and anywhere. I just wanted to say that we can now be found on Google. So if you search in Rally of the Creed, it will bring up myself and Cole, and you can find the episodes. Also, if you go to Spotify and put in Rally of the Creed podcast, it comes up. You can find tons of clips, episodes on YouTube. We put shorts out on YouTube and on TikTok too. So you can find them there. Also, I just wanted to say, anyone who gifts anything during these lives, it means so much to us because it helps pay for websites and stuff. So that's great. I also wanted to say that you can support the podcast by going to Spotify and rating us, and whatever rating you think. I'm hoping it's a 5, but you rate it how you want, but that helps us a lot. You can comment on YouTube, that pushes stuff out. Comments, likes, shares on TikTok really helps. So that's a massive appreciative thing. Cole obviously mentioned that you can go to the Ones Who Came Before website, and in the top right hand corner you can click on that and it can contact us via that. On there we talk about all sorts. There's loads of articles for Shadows DLCs, articles I'm writing. I'm sure there'll be all sorts on there. Next week's episode is episode 18, and I will be hosting the show, and we will be joined by Toolman Games, who is a close friend of mine. We've known each other for about 2 years, and he's a great content creator, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about Assassin's Creed. He's just found out he's having a baby too, so we'll get to have a conversation about fatherhood and how it is being a content creator and what have you. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody listening. Also, as I mentioned, gifts for TikTok has been great support. So we will see you all next week, 10 o'clock here, same place again, and we will see you soon, guys. Peace out.
See you soon, Assassins.